So, when we look at the world today, we tend to observe it from the annals of history. And therefore, it is critical for us to examine this history and what happened in the 1930s. What happened in the 1930s is something no less than a miracle, a total revolution, a revolution which went from coast to coast, a revolution that met with the Atlantic on the rocks of Lisbon and which ended at the Pacific at the port of Vladivostok. A spontaneous chain of events that led to nothing but total revolution, leading to what we call today as Red Eurasia, met only by the twin enemies of the United States of America and Japan. And yet, although this Red Eurasia may seem to be united in name, it is not so much at the regional level. So let's inspect all the different countries comprising of this Red Eurasia. The first is, of course, the Free German Social Republic under Joseph Goebbels. After defeating Antoine Artaud's accelerationists, Joseph Goebbels established his new order over Western Europe. Britain fell quickly, so did France and Italy. Goebbels' doctrines are different to traditional socialism or the doctrines of Marx or Lenin. No. Instead, Goebbels wishes to combine the romanticist ideals of the revolutions of 1848 and the traditional heart of rural Germany into the ruling of this new socialist vanguard, which gives it the name of DSRP. Thus, this revolutionary yet traditionalist strain of socialism was spread due to Joseph Goebbels to most of Western Europe. In Italy, Berto Ricci's vanguardist socialists continue this tradition of combining Italian culture and old Catholic beliefs with revolutionary socialism. So does the same in France under Abbé Pierre, or in the Netherlands under Adrian Berman, or in England under Jessica Mitford, in Scotland under Jackson, in Wales under Joshua Jones, and in the Irish under the IRA, which differ somewhat but still stay true to this nationalistic socialism of Joseph Goebbels. The same is also true for the Swedes under Jean Norvig. But then all these are nothing but puppets of the Germans. There are many which are independent and not in either the German or the Russian bloc. Chief among this is Spain, the international pariah, neither siding with the Americans nor the Germans. Instead, the Spanish are anarchists under Buenaventura Durruti. Spain is a total anarchy, and Durruti is only a sort of what we can say is spiritual leader of all these anarchist communes. And of course, Andorra continues to be a kingdom because neither the Germans or the French or the Spanish are interested in subjugating the Andorrans. Meanwhile, the second hegemon of Europe are the Russians under Maria Spiridonova. Spiridonova socialism is of a more popular kind. Spiridonova rejects the elitist authoritarian strain of Marxism comprising of a bureaucracy which was advocated by the Leninists. She also rejects the red-tinted liberal democracy called Menshevism. No, Spiridonova resorts to popular, spontaneous socialism. Spiridonova knows that Russia is a mainly rural economy, and Marxist doctrines of workers' self-government will not work. A revolution in Russia must be led by its popular people, by the farmers, by the peasants, by the people who matter in large numbers. And she must be quite damn right, because under Maria Spiridonova, Russia has become a power to be respected. In that sense, we can call her the strongest woman in the world and possibly the second strongest leader of the world behind Joseph Goebbels. Maria Spiridonova may well be the strongest woman of all time, even greater than Empress Catherine of Russia. Poland is a puppet state of Maria Spiridonova. It is led by Boleslaw Bierut. Socialist Persia under Reza Radmanesh is also a puppet state of Persia, although Reza Radmanesh is more of a typical Leninist or Marxist socialist. He has been forced to adopt the Russian style of popular socialism. The same is true for the Iraqis and the Kurds. I mean, the Kurds that are part of Iraqi Kurdistan, not the Turkish Kurdistan. The rest of Europe is made up of first the Norwegian people state, which is a puppet of neither the Germans nor the Russians, no. But the Norwegians under Gottfried Herwold adhere to the principles of German traditionalist National Socialism. There are some other independent states, especially in the Balkans. Chief among them is the Romanian People's Republic under Ion Furius. Ion Furius was initially the leader of Transylvania before winning the Romanian Civil War. He wishes to implement National Socialism, but don't confuse it with Joseph Goebbels' type of romanticist nationalism. No, he's a hardline nationalist as much as he's a socialist. Then, of course, we have the Hungarian People's Republic of Councils and the Slovak Republic of Councils, which is nothing but a client state of the Hungarians. The Hungarians are the true children of Lenin or Marx. They are the traditionalist vanguardist socialists, believing in the ideals of Lenin and Marx and the Das Kapital. Then we move on to the Commonwealth of Southern Slavton, an unexpected power which arose because of the power vacuum created by the Intermarium and the Germans and the French and the Russians. It is led by Vladimir Dvornikovich. So, if you want me to explain their ideology in detail, then I might simply say take the medieval and the feudal and the backward and the divided people of the southern Slavs and drag them, kicking and screaming, into the new age. If there is no electricity in the rural areas, then bring the god of electricity. These people worship modernization, and under Vladimir Dvornikovich, their only motto is one voda, one race, one Yugoslavia. The commune of the cosmos is one of the most funny names for the Greek state. But don't get me wrong, these people believe that indeed they are going towards the cosmos, destroying the line between the living and the dead, a shimmering silver thread between this reality and the next. The land itself was birthed from this thread in what we call the dreaming, the Bretonistic revisionism, the dialectic, the rendering of reality, the concepts of the surreal and the modernization, worshipping modernism. That is what the Greeks believe in. After that, we move on to the Middle East. In the 19th century, people used to say that the Ottoman Empire is the sick man of Europe. But pray tell me, O people, where are those who call the Ottomans, the Caliph of Islam, is the sick man? Where are they? I can't see them, not on the horizon, not in the cosmos. I cannot see them because they are all gone. But who has survived? Who has survived through the ups and downs? The very champion of Islam himself, Sultan Abdul Majid II, and the sublime Porte, which still extends its authority of Islam through the capital of Constantine. It is the Kurdistan, northern Kurdistan, is a puppet state of the Ottomans under Mustafa Pasha. The Ottoman Empire, along with the Kingdom of Arabia and the republics of Dinia and Bangistan and the Kingdom of Afghanistan, these make up the last of the true traditionalist Muslim states, because as we shall see, the rest of Islam is hopelessly conquered by the communists. But let's come to the free Arab state of Sham. These people, they reject both Western modernization and the traditionalism of the Ottomans. They wish to combine the vanguardist socialism of Goebbels and Lenin and merge it with Islam. These people want to unite the Arab states under one single flag, and their greatest enemies are simultaneously the reactionary kingdoms of Arabia, Yemen, Muscat, and Oman, but also the Zionist state of Israel under Avram Stern. Stern himself is a unique case. He wants to combine the accelerationist tendencies of the now defeated Antoine Artaud and Giuseppe Marinetti with the Zionist, Israeli, and Jewish principles. After brutal war with the Arabs, the Zionists have reconquered their once gone lands of Israel and also the lands of Lebanon. Meanwhile, most of North Africa are puppet states of the Germans, conquered and subjugated. All of these are worker states in name. In reality, they are a kind of neo colonization ruled by red despots which are hopelessly combined with the German system and completely subservient to Joseph Goebbels in Berlin. There are some exceptions like the Republic of Mali, Upper Volta, the Senussi Emirate, Madhis Chad, Gabaland, or Adamawa. Meanwhile, Angola is another unique case. It is a puppet state of a country which doesn't exist, the Iberian Federation of Anarchists. Instead, Alberto Chitunda launched his own anarchist rebellion in Angola, and that's where Angola is today. In the Congo, the remnants of the Prussians continue a brutal struggle against Thabo Edwin's vanguardist socialists. And the rest of it is mostly just red states ruled by African despots, with the sole exceptions of the Malagasy kingdom, which aims to combine the traditionalist society of Madagascar with the accelerationist tendencies of Antoine Artaud. And this is one of the few places on the earth, with the exception of Israel, where Jews are welcome. Portuguese East Africa and the North African garrison under Francisco Franco are remnants of two nations which don't exist anymore, Portugal and Spain. Here in Morocco and in Mozambique, the exiled governments continue to rule. If we go further into Asia, then we come across India. The Muslims have dominated much of India, but there are two kinds of Muslim regimes. The first is the Republic of Dinia under Muhammad Iqbal, and the more localist Bangistan under Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi. India itself is divided between the Republic of Bharat, which calls for a reactionary Hindu nationalist Hindutva ideology, and the Hindustan Socialist Republic, which is led by Shripad Amrit Dange's Popular Socialist. Dange is extremely inspired by Joseph Goebbels, but also from Maria Spiridonova. He takes the romanticist nationalist tendencies of Goebbels and combines it with Spiridonova's ruralist focus. Meanwhile, the Hyderabadi and Mysuri communes are more direct puppet states of the Germans. So is Travancore, which is now a socialist state. And then we come to East Asia. Japan continues to reign supreme over much of Asia under Emperor Yasuhito. The Bushido Code continues to dominate China. China is divided into two. The first is the Peking Provisional Government under Fu Zioi. Zioi believes that China can only be great through close cooperations with the Japanese conquerors. He believes that fighting a useless war which shall lead to millions of deaths will only strive to destroy China. This is in stark contrast to the National Republican movement under Zheng Qi, a writer and thinker behind the Young China Party. Zheng Qi, just like the Commonwealth of the Southern Slavdom, is a modernizer and a nationalist, a radical nationalist. Zheng Qi wants to drag China, kicking and dragging out of the century of humiliation, reconquer, reunite China, and place it on par with the Japanese and the rest of the world after brutally subjugating its enemies. Maybe this is the reason why, apart from the Japanese, Zheng Qi has managed to subjugate all of China, and now a titanic struggle between Fu Zioi's collaborators and Zheng Qi's accelerationist regime is all but inevitable, and it shall take with it millions of lives. The rest of East Asia is made up of a varying number of regimes, be they the liberals in Burma, the monarchists in Siam, which is curiously revisionist socialist. We can say it is a democratic socialist regime, and also the socialist state of Aw Lok, which wants to combine accelerationism with the teachings of Marx and Lenin. Then we have the Indonesian Socialist Republic, the Malay Brotherhood, which is an Islamist Malay ultranationalist government under Abdul Rahim Kajai. Then we have the Philippine Commonwealth, which is very closely integrated with the American Empire. And Australia has been restructured by the conquering Germans into socialist republics following a strew of rebellions. The Kingdom of Irian is a state in Papua New Guinea led by the warlord Stephanus Simopairef. And then we come to the sole remaining bastion of the old world, which is an irony because until just a few years ago, America was the new world. But now everyone from the defeated and exiled kings and princes of Europe to the czars of Russia to the sheikhs and imams of Iran and the Senussi warlords of the Libyan deserts have emigrated and established hundreds of various exiled governments or palaces of their own in cities of America like New Orleans, New York, California, or San Francisco. After the capitulation of Britain, the Americans under Bronson Murray President Cutting, conquered Canada and established a normal democracy over it. The Canadians welcomed the Americans with open arms because they did not want to risk a constitutional crisis. But make no mistake, Canada is no republic. Instead, the King of England reigns but doesn't rule in Canada. The rest of Latin America remains more or less the same, hopelessly divided between either progressives or liberals or military juntas, with the sole exception of Cuba and Brazil, which are both revisionist socialists. In Brazil, Carlos Duarte Costa's government has established a state which integrates Catholic principles with socialism. Duarte is a very meek looking old man, but make no mistake, he is ruthless. A very popular tale is how Duarte's government kills and imprisons large amounts of LGBTQ, gays or lesbians. At the same time, religious persecution is also openly done despite Brazil's claim of being socialist. And then we have Venezuela, Colombia, the Peruvian Communal Republic under Victor Haya de la Torre, which is again inspired from Joseph Goebbels' Romanticist traditionalist socialism. Then we have Bolivia, Paraguay, Argentina, which are all ruled by despots or democracies. And then we have the Caribbean Socialist Republic under Johannes Jones, which wants to continue the legacy of Antoine Artaud in the Caribbean. And thus the world, although unified in Eurasia, is divided. It is imperative that in a few years the friendly Russians and the Germans will also drift apart, and a new Cold War will possibly start, in which the Americans will be the third front and the Japanese will be the fourth front. This is already evident by an unholy alliance between the anarchists of Spain and the Emperor Yoshihato of Japan. An alliance purely based on pragmatic reasoning rather than an ideological one, because an enemy's enemy is a friend. For Durruti, despite being a socialist, believes that Goebbels and Spiridonova are greater enemies of his than the Americans or the Japanese. Because in his opinion, the ones who use authoritarian or violent practices to practice socialism are traitors to socialism. And the feeling is quite mutual. And this is the state of the world in which I leave you. Rot front. Let the Kulturkrieg begin.